20th Matthew, verse 16. Line goes, "The last shall be first, and the first shall be last." This verse triggered a strong negative reaction from a number of people involved in preparing the service for September 6th. Some important notes for this verse and this story that it's from. This line referred to the kingdom of heaven. It was offered in a special social context, in social settings where wealthy people, religious leaders, and political leaders came first. Prostitutes, tax collectors, women and children would have been close to last. Craftspeople, shopkeepers, and workers in the temple would have been somewhere in the middle. Jesus offered numerous parables about the kingdom of heaven. Like yeast, it will spread throughout the social group. It involves the illogical and incredible, like a mustard plant with birds' nests in it. An economic system focused on providing opportunities for people to earn a living wage. The kingdom of heaven is different from, sometimes opposite to, cultural norms, then and now. When the culture saw wealth as a sign of God's favor, Jesus saw wealth as a distraction from right relationship, from God, from other people, and sometimes from one's own self. An example of the last is the rich young man who sought the kingdom of heaven and followed all the usual culture practices, including generosity to the poor. But his wealth was more important to him than his relationship with God. When the culture saw religious practices such as fasting, public prayer, and tithing as signs of right relationship with God, Jesus saw them as show to impress others in society and earn their recognition. For Jesus, the kingdom of heaven is grounded on the first two commandments. Have no other gods before Yahweh, and do not worship anything before God or the first great commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. People at the bottom have less to set aside in putting God first in their lives. Their shift in beliefs, attitudes, and priorities is much smaller in yielding to the demands of living in a God-centered, mutually caring community. People with positions of status, wealth, or power have much more to set aside in putting God first in their lives. The rich young man was unable to do so at all. It was this understanding of human nature that Jesus could say, "The last shall be first, and the first shall be last." The ones who last in the eyes of the world can be the first to let go of barriers to living in the kingdom of heaven. The ones who are first in the eyes of the world can be the last to let go of barriers to living in the kingdom of heaven, to love God with everything they have and are. Many people are offended by the details in the parable of the vineyard. In the Oxford Annotated Bible, the authors warn against taking all the details of parables seriously. Many will take offense to the workers who worked only 1 hour being paid a day's wage. The details about hours worked make the story interesting and memorable. The main point of the parable is the responsibility of those with means to ensure that all have enough. For me, it is also important that this is done in a way that preserves human dignity, sense of worth. Jesus probably did not mean that giving a person a day's wage for an hour's work was the way to go. It does point to providing people with the opportunity to earn a day's wage. Alberta mandated a refundable deposit on all beverage containers over 40 years ago. One of the good things done by Peter Lougheed. Bacova is an agency that provides employment, training, and counseling for adults with disabilities. One of the main employment strategies is operating a bottle depot. They have one or more trucks that go around the city of Calgary to pick up bags of bottles and cans from people and businesses who joined as donors of those containers. They'd come around to our place about once every 6 to 8 weeks. These containers are then sorted by these workers earning their wages. There are similar agencies across Canada providing meaningful employment to people who would normally have difficulty finding employment. A society committed to living as the kingdom of heaven would provide opportunities for all who want work to have meaningful work that provided a living wage. And that is, to my point, the interpretation of the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.